The more things fragment, the more they stay silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment and a new season of Fragments of Silicon. Yes, indeed, it's the beginning of season 19 of this program. And as of in between the break, technically speaking, this is year 10 of the program.
Woo.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years. Can't say we've been doing this because this program started out with a completely different cast.
Indeed.
None of which whom have worked here in years.
Yeah.
I think we can even include Mac on that.
Mac still sometimes shows up, but he's
every time he tries to reintegrate himself onto this program, it doesn't work out. Very quickly, I might add.
Yeah. But it's fine.
Yeah, true enough. This program gets along well with its current configuration. There's a reason why I haven't really set out to fill in the still vacant fourth chair, technically.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gollix and Pettypan are both here as always. And I suppose we get to the personal news. Petty, why don't you start us off, because I think you've got some things to get off your chest.
All right. A little background. When I was in high school, I got certified in computer networking. So I know a fair bit amount about how to, properly do cabling and computer networking and stuff like that.
Not forklifts, though.
Not yet.
That requires a heavy goods license.
About 5 or 6 years ago, a tall truck went by in front of our house and ripped our cable line out of the pole for the internet and at that point cable TV. And we had the cable company come out and fix it, as you do. Since then, we've been having some issues where sometimes when it rains, the cable would drop out and we think, oh, maybe there's water in the line somewhere down the way. Next time we catch it, we'll make sure we give the cable company a call and see about having them come out. A couple weeks ago was that time. Turns out we figured out what the problem was. The splice they used on the cable, instead of using a proper outdoor cable for the cable on the actual pole out in the elements, they used an indoor rated splice, not an outdoor rated splice. So for the past 5 years, there has been water getting into that splice and causing us to lose network and have pretty shitty speed sometimes, if not lose connection entirely. So that was fun, because originally we thought we were having problems with our new modem and router. We've replaced it 3 times. Thankfully, we have the Geek Squad protection, so we take it back and we just need to pay for the protection renewal thing, which is a lot better than dropping another $300 on a modem and router. But yeah, it turns out the issue was they put the wrong splice out front in order to save themselves 30 cents. That was all basically what they saved instead of doing it right. So that was fun. In other shitty news, I ended up breaking a filling on one of my teeth next to the one they filled last time at the dentist, and I can't get to see the dentist till the end of the month. So it hurts a lot when I try to eat and drink. I have some of that like temporary filling stuff in there that I keep having to relatively often put back in because temporary. So that kind of sucks. Though we did get some decent news. For those of you who remember back in 2019 when my mom worked at the hospital she used to, she got injured on the job. And she finally got the money today from the injury settlement. So she'll be paying my sister and I back money that she's borrowed from us, and I'm gonna use that money to get a probably PS5 when the PS5 Slim comes out. So hooray for console upgrades. And since I'm not going to need my PS4 anymore because all my games are PS5 compatible, talk to the guys at the game shop I frequent, and they'll probably give me about $100 if I trade in my PS4, and a little more if I trade in like another one of the console or another one of the controllers. So, hooray! In gaming news, I obviously got Sonic Superstars, which is what we are seeing on screen, and we'll be playing later. And I think that's it on my part.
Okay. Always a lot.
Yeah.
Your body is just a never-ending cavalcade of woe.
Oh god, don't get me started on the body parts.
We won't.
I'm broken and I'm only 31. Send help.
All right, Golix, it's your go.
Well, I live in Maine. So, as you may or may not be aware, we had the biggest mass shooting in the state's history on, Thursday?
Yeah. Was that anywhere near you or?
It's like a half hour north of here.
Ooh.
It's not directly. I was like outside of the actual mandatory lockdown zone / shelter in place order, but and I work even further south. But my boss still decided to close the office for a couple of days, and it was still a bit of anxiety, and it's still kind of,
And this the
makes
dude
you worry
who
about stuff.
ended up taking his own life, right?
Yes.
And he didn't have any other people we need to worry about, as far as we know.
I don't think so. Apparently, there were like a lot of warning signs, and just no one ever did enough about them, which sure makes me feel, great. But
yeah.
Neither me nor anyone I know personally was particularly affected, though. I think one of my friends' boss's brother-in-laws was one of the victims or something, and that's about as close as it gets. Also, I've been worried because the end of this week is actually, I think it's the actual day is next Tuesday, is my cousin's kid's first birthday, and I'd been debating whether or not I was going to be able to go down to their party, which is on Saturday, and it looks like it turns out that I'm not going, but I got a present and a card to send. My parents are going, so that's something. I just really want to be involved in this because I always want to be an uncle, and I don't have any older relatives, and my sister has no interest in settling down, really, so this is the closest option I get.
Hooray for second cousins?
Yeah. Let's see. Video game wise, this past weekend was Splatfest and Splatoon. They did the special Halloween decorations for Splatoween and gave out special headgear, which is nice. And it was Ghost versus Skeleton versus Zombie, which would be the best friend, and Ghost won, which was pretty predictable. It was literally over half of the popularity vote. And it only won one of the 3 categories of battle clout, but that was enough to make it win. So I actually won one for a change, although I'm starting to get kind of disappointed that Fry isn't winning any.
And Fry's the stingray thing, right?
No, that's Big Man is the manta ray. Fry is the yellow with dark skin inkling. She just usually her option is silly one, or not the like Shiver usually has a smart option. Although this time Shiver was Team Zombie, which is not that because no offense, but zombies are not particularly hygienic. Anyway, and Big Man usually has a kind of unusual choice, but Fry usually gets like the short end of the stick. And I think she just has less. Her character design is probably less popular for various reasons. She's not cool. She's kind of dopey, which is still its own kind of charm. Anyway, I wish it was more evenly distributed. Having 3 hosts makes it a lot more obvious when one of them just isn't winning. So that, and not a whole lot special going on in Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah.
Although I did on stream for D-Pad Rick was streaming Pokemon Violet and wanted to get Scarlet exclusives, and I was at the stream, so I volunteered for that and was able to do it. So that was nice. And back to non-video game related news, we've been having a really hard time getting the Pathfinder group together because of people getting sick or having other what's the word? Obligations. But hopefully we're getting back together on that. And since I'm not going to the party, I can have kind of a normal weekend this weekend. Hopefully. And I think that's about it.
Okay. I guess it's my go. Let's see. Went to the primary care physician just yesterday after a long delay. Like, I think I mentioned previously that, dealing with mother's illness is kind of conflicting with that. But since that's, for the most part, over and done with, I was able to see the doctor. Pretty routine, most things considered, though they do want me to come back in 2 weeks to do my flu shot. They didn't schedule a COVID shot. Gonna have to get that through Walgreens. Guess they. Not sure why. Anyway, 6 weeks. They want to do a vital check because my blood pressure was a bit elevated there. And 3 months is the next follow-up. But otherwise, everything is continuing as it should. Though I am a bit worried about my future refills of medication because I got a notification on my cell phone that I got a refill at like the mail order people, and I asked, but it's like that's paused because They need more information from the doctor's office. I talked to the doctor's office about this, and they said they had no record of this in their database. Like, so that's a bit concerning. The doctor's office told me that if this, if this is still an issue or I'm having problems getting my medication, contact them about it again, which is, not great. But, hopefully if there is an issue, it will be resolved because, I don't want to miss having medications.
Indeed.
So, outside of that, nothing really notable during the break. At least not directly related to me. Like let's just say most of the family drama has been centered on my brother, since ongoing divorces will do that.
Indeed.
So I'm just trying to stay out of the blast zone. It's like, unsurprisingly, Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations over there have been canceled. Like, though they are angling to come up here for New Year's, at least my brother and his kids stay the night. I presume that will happen, though, given how touch and go everything is, I won't say that there is a non-zero chance of it not happening. So, anyway, in terms of games, still playing The Evil Within. Kind of glad I reviewed that before I got through Chapter 9, because Chapter 9 is definitely the low point of the game. Because because I found where they stuffed the fucking Pyramid Head Nemesis encounter in gameplay terms. It's here, though not with Safe Head. Different character. Anyway, I think it's about time we moved along to the Let's Play portion of the broadcast. Yeah, we don't have a guest because they can't. They had to cancel out 2.5 days before broadcast, and that is usually not enough time to find a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Sonic Superstars here because Petty picked it up, and it's something that's fresher than Heaven's Vault, let's say,
and less likely to put us all in a fucking coma.
Well, you.
Yeah, valid.
Like, I rather enjoy the transliteration. I think Gollux does as well. Like, anyway, but that isn't about that. This is about Sonic here. Now, a bit of a caveat here, because Sonic Superstars' big gimmick here is it's 4-player multiplayer brought to the Sonic series for the first time. At least in the mainline platforming. I think
Quick, Petty fan, get your mom and sibling up here to play it with you enough so we can see what happens when one person goes off at maximum speed but the other person stands still.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. He has Sonic Superstars for the Nintendo Switch. Nobody else does. At least not within this crew.
Well, and even if they did, it doesn't have online multiplayer other than the battle mode.
Yeah, it's like, do any of the versions have online multiplayer?
I guess you can do the play together thing on Steam.
Like, I'm gonna have to look this up.
Not built in is the answer.
Like,
it's not designed for that for allegedly delay reasons.
Right. ultimate point here is it's Petty playing Sonic Superstars, not us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Still,
Yeah.
though, that is, I mean, I'm facetiously suggesting you get your actual family to play with.
Yeah.
But I am seriously concerned about what happens when one person goes off at max speed. Playing
From
in
what I've seen on
local
reviews,
co-op.
your concerns are founded.
Look, we don't have Ogre here to test.
Because there are 3 options there, and they're all bad.
Yeah. Okay.
The first option is camera focuses on the person who's furthest ahead, and the other 2 just die and or get zooked up. Second option is camera stays with the most players, which doesn't work when it's evenly distributed.
Yeah.
And still can result in someone just dying from being off screen. And third option is screen zooms out until everybody can be on screen. And this is a Sonic game, so with the fast that you're allegedly going at, the screen would zoom out a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. So apparently this does have cross-platform multiplayer.
It's only for the battle mode. You can't co-op it.
Mainly because it's using Epic online services.
Yep.
And
God damn it.
though I can see why you went with the Nintendo Switch version, because guess what's in the PC version of Sonic Superstars?
De Nouveau.
Yep.
The
Just
thing
like
that fucked Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think most, if not all, the modern Sonic games, Sega games, really come with the Nouveau. Or at least that come from Japan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Creative Assembly stuff, for example, has the Nouveau. But now
I understand wanting to have anti-piracy software and stuff, but De Nouveau is not good and doesn't last long anyway. It usually gets cracked pretty quickly, and then they just get rid of it at some point.
It becomes where the cracked version is generally more stable than the De Nouveau infested version.
Right. Though De Nouveau doesn't last because apparently it costs money to keep having it in your game.
Yeah.
Which is why, after a certain amount of time it gets announced, X game gets De Nouveau removed.
And everyone fucking is ecstatic.
More or less, if they're paying attention.
I thought Frontiers was cracked, huh?
Yeah, well, that's actually the thing. De Nouveau is actually kind of hard to crack these days.
I know there have been. I guess it might just because they're using a newer version of De Nouveau. Or it's some other anti-piracy tool I'm thinking that usually gets cracked within hours.
I don't know. Anyway,
if anyone is looking to hear the music, unfortunately, there's something up with my capture card that won't let me, have the music run through OBS. So, apologies.
Yeah, we were able to get a tiny bit of it, but it was super quiet. So
yeah. Now, I guess you should talk about the actual game here at some point.
I mean,
so yeah, this is the new this is the new Sonic 2D platformy Sonic game. How does it measure up to Sonic Mania?
It's honestly fine.
Is it definitely the best thing that Arzest has ever made, even if it's kind of mediocre, which I've definitely heard.
Oh yeah, this is probably the best thing Arzest has ever made, and that's fucking sad. The game's not bad. It's just Balan Wonderland is worse.
It's Balan Wonderworld.
Land World.
I know.
It's so bad it doesn't require the respect we put on its name. Let's be real here.
We need to know if Balan is jumping on turtles that have their shells turn into bombs, or turtles whose shells you can kick.
Like, I don't think that that is the case. Like,
That was just the first World Land series that came to mind.
yeah, but yeah, they're they're probably most infamous for Balan Wonderworld, though. That's not the only game that they fucked up on. Like, they're also notable for the really bad entries in the Yoshi franchise.
The 3DS one?
Yeah, Yoshi's New Island. Technically speaking, they didn't make Yoshi Island DS or Yoshi's Universal Gravitation / Yoshi Topsy Turvy. That was the previous incarnation of them called Artoon, also known as the creators of the Blinks the Time Sweeper series. Like,
oh god, that was them. Fuck.
Yeah. Like, technically speaking, these are two different developers. It's just the key staffers of Artoon went off and formed Arzest when Artoon got shut down or absorbed into Marvelous. Yeah. So it's it's the spiritual successor company to that particular brand of mediocrity. Like,
also, to be fair to them about Balan Wonderworld, at least a good third to half of the bad stuff in that game was just intentional. That's the way the designer wanted it.
Yeah. But there's less of an excuse for Hey Pikmin. Like the not particularly great 3DS Pikmin platformer that nobody remembers or wants to talk about, depending on circumstances. Like I said, I can continue doing this. Their back catalog is just a cavalcade of mediocrity in one form or another. Or mobile games.
I forgot I had the Lego skin.
You paid $15. Was that a pre-order bonus, or did you pay $15 for this?
No, the Sonic one himself was free. The other guys is the paid upgrade.
Okay.
So I figured, why not? It's free, and I can have Sonic run around like he's made of Legos.
But only he's made of Lego.
Yes. I do also have the modern Amy costume because that was free if you signed up for the Sega newsletter.
Is that how they did the spin dash thing in the actual Sonic Lego sets?
I don't remember. I'd like to get one of the Sonic Lego sets, but
it looks plausible that they could make a. I mean, that disc that you're looking at side on is a real Lego piece. I can't recognize the things they're using for blades. Also, lol, at a certain speed, his legs just don't move.
Yeah. It looks like some Lego stop motion here.
I mean, it's executing on the premise of you're playing as Lego Sonic pretty well.
True.
And his legs generally do move. I think what you were looking at.
Oh yeah, it's rail grinding. It's just a lot of the ground is rail.
Yeah, this is your grind level for the game.
What you kind of expect from modern day Sonic.
Yeah.
Even the 2D stuff. That isn't Sonic Mania. Because,
Mania is for the Mania, by the Mania.
So the biggest thing I heard about this compared to Sonic Mania in terms of being positive is that it's not 50% reused zones. Even if they did redesign some of the reused zones significantly, they were still, oh hey, it's Chemical Plant Zone again.
Well, we don't have Green Hill again, so praise the fucking sun.
Although
What do
they
they
did,
bring in?
although they did take two zones that a lot of people hated, and made one that I've at least heard some people like quite a bit. They used the Sandopolis gimmick in their oil ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow
I still don't like coaster
made
levels, which they have one of those in here because.
uh-huh.
And oh yeah, if you're playing in single player, you can see some of Sonic's friends randomly going out through other stages.
Huh.
Honestly, the game that this reminds me of is Knuckles Chaotix.
How
Like,
so? I don't see
the
Sonic
level
holding a ring that uh,
it's the level design.
just that they're quite long and vertical.
Yeah, like it's giving me
Also, the
flashbacks.
bosses do have the big problem of going invulnerable.
Yeah, which I've heard is partially to make them
It's because of the multiplayer.
more enjoyable to do in multiplayer, because bosses that die in 5 seconds are not fun.
Indeed.
Though also
Again, this is Amy.
bosses that anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
But that's one of the things you have to consider when you're doing it.
Yeah.
When,
Yeah. Oh
or
yeah. If
when
I
you're
could
designing a
come in
multiplayer
here
game.
with 4 dudes, I could have this dude squashed in a matter of seconds, or you'd have to have a ridiculous amount of health.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the balancing of that probably just wasn't in the development budget, which is understandable. You know, we have very much been there on the grounds of fucking feature creep, where we have devs seen devs drive themselves insane.
Well, there's
true.
already
But
one. There was already one thing that they were doing different to accommodate for the new Sonic and Mario, which is that I believe the individual characters have no collision with each other if you're in multiplayer.
Correct. Well, yeah,
Which
even
is,
on the online battle thing, they don't have collision. Which, thank you. That could be a shit show if it wasn't. So, this game is the triumphant return of Fang the Sniper.
now actual him and not heavy magician pretending.
Yes, this is actual Fang the Sniper. Well, Fang the Hunter now. He will always
I
be
mean, that
Fang.
is more or less what sniper means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Or
apologies for the slow loading. This is the Switch version on a micro SD card, so loading will be slow.
Mhm.
Not a whole lot I can do about that.
mm,
And here we have one of our Fang race levels.
Because he still has that hover bike.
Yep. And it's kind of funny because technically Fang's one of Tails' villains.
I'm guessing that's a development in the comics.
Probably. It's been a
I
while
don't know.
since I've read any of the comics.
I don't know. It's just the IDW people are writing the Sonic games now,
Yeah.
so I assume that things that happen in the comics also happen.
I was gonna say, in the old Archie comics, he was pretty equal opportunity, although he was also like a mercenary and not a dedicated Eggman goon.
Yeah, well, he's
Yeah.
still a mercenary here. You didn't really see the starting cutscene, but Eggman literally hands him a sack of money to have him work with him.
Uh-huh.
So I'm pretty sure he'd qualify as a mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the literal definition of soldier of fortune here.
Mm-hmm. Bitch.
Also,
Hmm?
I'm guessing Metal Sonic had to get his spines refurbished.
I guess. I
Because
haven't
I
beaten
don't
the
know.
game, so I don't know if Metal shows up later.
You could do this with Metal Sonic. It has a slightly different vibe. And also I heard an interesting theory on Metal Sonic from, I think it was D. Padrick relatively recently. pointing out that in I forget if it was Heroes or one of the other games around that time, that where Metal Sonic was basically like actually the main bad guy of the game who like started all the shit.
Yeah, it was Metal in Heroes.
After that, Metal has seemed to have had something of a personality ectomy.
Well, Metal hasn't really been seen in any of the games other than Sonic 4, but like the modern timeline, he's just gone. He just
He's Shadow's
cameoed.
partner in Rivals 2, which is where this came up.
Mm.
And in that, it's literally just, oh, hey, this is a independently animated robot body that just Eggman uses a goddamn like walkie-talkie to communicate through.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a reasonable theory, at least, that insofar as there is game continuity, Metal Sonic got most of his independence removed.
Metal Sonic got his System 32 deleted after the shit he pulled in Heroes.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, the saying the sniper battles basically is like the Metal Sonic races where if you take too long, a beam of light will just kill you.
Mm.
And I
This
think
is kind of long though for a race level.
Yeah. Well, part of it is I have been sucking because I've only done this level once before. And also Sonic's drop dash is back.
Hooray!
I mean, I've grown so used to it between it being in Mania and in Origins. I end up drop dashing more than I do like spin dashing now because you can
it
chain
flows
drop
well.
dash.
It lets you go from a jump into a spin dash quickly.
Yeah.
So who's this Rust Bucket guy? He was the other bad guy on the title screen.
I think his name is Trip. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Is he an Eggman's robots or just
He is a person. Well, they. I don't remember the gender on that. I don't remember if it's a he or a she.
I mean, are Orbot and Cubot still around?
Not in the classic universe. They've never been around in the classic games. Because remember, the classic games basically take place in the 90s era.
Right.
Maybe.
It's all kind of fast and loose.
Yeah, I think they're back into it being actually the past and not being a different universe now.
Yeah. It really depends on what they want to do.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Sonic
for a
Forces.
while, apparently, Sega was legislating some separations that Ian Flynn managed to get them to go back on, or something like that.
Thank you, by the way, Ian, because they were on drugs.
Well, yeah, it's because in Sonic Forces, they were billing classic Sonic as an alternate universe, and that tied into Sonic Mania. That fucking gem appeared in both.
Mania fucked with the canon for generations. It did a lot of bad things that I'm glad they've reneged on.
Yeah. And people wondered why this never got a sequel. Like, it's also because Sega wanted to go in different directions, i.e., this direction. This is something I was trying to bring up previously, but the reason, according to Naoto Oshima, why Sonic Superstars, looks like this instead of more Mania is because they didn't want to get locked into nostalgia here.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. I mean, that was Sonic Mania's big shtick.
Yeah.
Pandering to the past.
It was very much a game that, for people who wanted more classic Sonic in the OG style. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to try and make classic Sonic in a modern style, which commendable.
Well,
Yeah.
all of the bars I can think of for that, except for Mania, and even then, that's not exactly what they're going for, as you said. All of the bars for trying to modernize classic Sonic previously are very low, but it seems like they've at least passed those bars.
Honestly, the physics in this feel fine.
Yeah, it's
like
not
we have
Sonic
had far
4.
we've had worse 2D Sonics. Like I'm pretty sure if Dimps ever touches a classic era Sonic game again, petitions for war will be filed.
Dimps worked on anything Sonic related.
They haven't in a
It's been a
while, I
while.
don't think.
Tr-
I think the last one was Lost World 3DS.
That could be the case, actually, because they didn't do the 3DS Sonic Boom games. That was Sanzaru.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did like the Switch version of, say, Sonic Forces or anything like that. Like, huh. Like, oh, also, I want to address the sheer delusion Sega is displaying on their recruitment page. How will you develop Sonic in the future? Simply put, I want to surpass Mario. Sonic is a game that was originally developed to compete with Mario, and it still hasn't achieved that goal. Our goal is to catch up and surpass Mario because we respect Mario. I want people to play it all over the world, including Japan. Like Mario, I want the movie to be a bigger hit than Mario. I would like USJ to create Sonic area as well. That is our goal for those of us who love Sonic.
I mean,
This is
you do you guys.
Sonic isn't exactly the same kind of character as Mario. Like even when he was designed to compete with him, it was designed to be a mascot attitude, which inherently means slightly less universal appeal.
But I had to not break out laughing in the idea that Sonic can surpass Mario. First of all, Sega, that would require you not skimping on the budget.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
That too, yeah.
It's like, say what you will about the differences between Sonic and Mario, and there are a lot of them. Mario gets all of the money from Nintendo when they need to
or
have,
at least most of it when they're not working on a nearly decades long Zelda project.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting example on that. Mario is relatively rarely a launch title. And when it is a launch title lately, it's been a re-release.
Damn it.
It's not just
because they want to take time to get good with the new hardware before they make a Mario game.
It's not just that.
Not just that.
Yeah. I don't think Mario is subject to the same pressures that Sonic is subjected to. Because Mario is a system showcase, especially the 3D ones. We'll get more into 2D Mario in a bit. But you look at Super Mario Odyssey versus Sonic Superstars. Mario has not just a budget behind it, but an actual vision. Because this is one of the complaints that has been consistent with Sonic Frontiers. And that is, yes, it is a lot better than what people were expecting, but it's something that kind of lacks its own identity and vision. Like it's more a generic open world game that happens to have Sonic in it than a Sonic open world game. Like,
Yeah, the integration of Sonic elements is still a little bit awkward
yeah.
in the open world.
And that's the kind of thing that's holding Sonic back. It's like if the Sega development teams and the subcontractors want to surpass Mario, you need to have a bit more passion. That's not to say that the people that work on these things lack passion, but once again, there's just a creativity that's brimming in Mario right now that I don't see in Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once again, Sonic Superstars here. It's not a bad game, but it does have a new Sonic Ario flavoring to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just the bar is so low for Sonic games that being merely adequate is enough.
Well, like
Yeah.
the past few Sonic games have actually been overall fairly good.
Yeah,
We've had Mania, like Origins. The new Earth stuff was okay. Like
Origins is not a good example. Even with
it's not great, but it's also not the worst thing they've ever done with classic Sonic. Looking at you, Game Boy.
Given how
Genesis.
broken some of the physics were, I'd actually say it's the worst thing that has been done since Sonic Forces.
Honestly, I didn't think the physics were that bad. Like,
it might depend on the system
yeah, because the
as
Switch
well.
version was fine.
It's like the PC version of Sonic.
The PC version is always not great. Like, there are actually some mods people have been working on for the PC version of Frontiers because it definitely has a few problems.
Yeah. Also, Sonic Colors Ultimate Edition also happened. So I think that's been fixed for the most part.
It has been fixed, yes, except for the Switch version, which still runs like garbage. Because fuck you, Sega. Why do you have to ruin my favorite modern Sonic game?
Because Sega.
I know. Why you gotta hurt me, Daddy? Wait, what?
My point is, with Mario, mediocre is like the low point here. With Sonic, mediocre to 7 out of 10 is the absolute highs.
I think that's the first time my game has crashed, just for anyone wondering.
Yeah.
Outside
of Sonic Mania, let's say.
Yeah.
And Sonic Mania is
Sonic 2/3 and Knuckles.
I'm like, well, no, that's getting
those are pretty solid.
Well, once again, that's getting back to what I was talking about in terms of Sonic Origins. They kind of fucked up Sonic's Origins. Some of that wasn't their fault, like the music licensing. Some of it is the broken PC physics.
Yeah.
Like,
did you know that the original Ice Cap Zone music was similar to Hard Times by the Jet Zones?
I'm like,
I'm gonna throw him against a wall, chat. I'm just gonna throw him against a wall and keep kicking.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's try Knuckles.
But anyway, this is a good time as any to segue into mediocre Mario. And when talking about that particular subject, it could be few other things than the new Super Mario Brothers series. Um, you know, I'm bringing this up not because of Sonic Superstars here, but actually because of New Super Mario Wonder. Or new is it New Super Mario
It's just Super Mario Wonder or
Wonder?
Super Mario Brothers Wonder, one of those.
I think
Yeah.
it depends on the region. Some of it is Brothers Wonder, some of it is just Wonder.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I don't have the page
Looks
in
like
front of me.
Brothers is usually in it.
Okay. But yeah, because Wonder
It
is
has no
the
new in its name, in spite of clearly being the successor to.
The
Yeah.
new franchise.
Yes.
yes, which could be an indicator of a few things.
Oh, real quick before we get too deep into Mario. Hey, Sega, this is how you don't fuck up Knuckles' gliding. Remember that. I'm still salty about Frontier.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching the playthrough of that, and some of that is not how you'd want it to play.
Don't get me fucking started again.
Let's stay on topic here.
Yeah.
Topic is now Mario, New Super Mario Brothers. You know,
Now with LSD,
And yeah.
I mean, wait a minute.
well, no, with LSD is Wonder.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part.
We'll review that once one or more of us has it. Sorry, I have not picked that up yet.
I'm not
Yeah.
interested
I'm
enough,
like-
so have fun with that.
Yeah. That will come by via Galax sometime in the new year.
Possibly.
He'll pick it up at some point.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, yeah, because that was one of the big complaints about the new Super Mario Brothers series, the banality of it all.
Well, okay, the first new Super Mario Brothers had some obnoxious stuff in it, but was
that your
kind of at
other
least
players were physical objects.
there were no other
No.
players. It was a single player game.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking of the Wii.
But it
Yeah,
was
the
still there
first-
was still the novelty of, oh hey, we've been making 3D Mario games for a while. Let's make a new 2D platforming game, but use the 3D graphics and take some advantage of that for some of the mechanics, which is fine.
Right, and it's
Although
also
the mini mushroom is a pain in the ass, and the blue shell suit is insufficient.
the blue shell is solid choice for the one for worst Mario power up. Not even joking about that.
If not a top running, or not in the top running for top 5.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that bad, but also they made more power-ups that do everything that does and then other things, and those ones are fine. So
That's not helping the case of the blue shell. The big problem with the blue shell is when you run, you go into the shell. That was just dumb.
you have to duck to do that, don't you?
No.
No.
Once you get up to speed, you automatically tuck.
But yeah, that was that was in the beginning, and also New Super Mario Brothers Wii introduced the concept of the 4-player multiplayer gimmick to Mario at the same time, no less.
Which, on one hand, sure, letting players play as other characters that they like, although when it's 2 Toads, that's kind of dumb. It's not that hard to come up with a reason why the princess is playable.
Yeah. Well, they fixed that for Wonder.
Well, Wonder did an interesting thing regarding playable characters, but we can.
Yeah,
it has a lot of them, but they basically come in 2.5 varieties.
Yes.
Which are normal mode and easy mode, assist mode.
Yeah.
And then all of the distinct traits that the characters originally had, aside from the things that the Yoshis and Nabbit can do, are customizable add-ons that you can put on any character. Whereas in the new Super Mario Brothers series, I believe in every game that has more than one player, the characters do have their individual traits.
Other than they were all just Mario palette swaps.
Really, it doesn't have the Luigi jump higher.
Nope.
Huh.
Nope. It's to keep parity,
Yeah.
and it's kind of the yeah. It's kind of one of the sticking points against Wii, but it's also it was their first stab at this idea, so you can see what they were going for. And really the problems everyone developed with the new franchise, other than just using the word new for games that will eventually not be new.
Yeah, it got really quickly to where everything new was old again.
Yeah. It's because Nintendo kept pumping these out. It's really the twin pylons of mediocrity: New Super Mario Brothers 2 and New Super Mario Brothers U, that sunk the franchise. And I think I can be safe in my statement that this turn here killed New, because
2 was entirely dedicated to getting coins.
Yeah.
They even replaced some of the other power-ups with more power-ups that get... That was the game that introduced the golden brick that you wear on your head and you spit out coins as you run, and the golden fireball that turns bricks and enemies into coins over a relatively large radius, actually.
Like, that's because the quote-unquote goal of 2 is to get 1 million coins.
Why Mario wants to do this is left as an exercise for the player to imagine.
And the biggest insult
joke about Nintendo's financials at the time.
Well, the real thing is that that's a Wario thing to do.
Yes. Also, it's useless. Like, with a
your
Wario
title screen changes.
Yeah, which is once again a thing that even like pick any Wario game and it'll do it better. Not just in collecting coins, but collecting treasure. Like, Wario collects coins, but he also collects treasure, and collecting the treasure unlocks better endings. And in the case of Wario, a better ending is having more money or a better place to live,
as opposed to just number go up to see number go up.
Yeah,
number go burr.
Yeah. And then we got New Super Mario Brothers U, which is literally just another new Super Mario Brothers game.
And with Rosalina, and also then they made a Luigi version level pack.
Rosalina is not.
Oh, Rosalina was 3D World, wasn't she?
Yes.
Anyway, it was already like new Super Mario Brothers Wii 2, slightly different level gimmicks.
It did have the strongest artistic direction of the new series, because it had some actual artistic direction. The Van Gogh level.
It's not that it was bad. It was just more than we wanted very quickly.
But even that, couldn't get away from the homogenization, because all 4 new games have pretty much the same art style, the same character models, the same music. Good God, the wahs just wouldn't end.
We're not talking about the Philadelphia convenience store chain or Pennsylvania, whatever.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Koopa Troopas doing jazz hands.
Yeah. And that is counterintuitive to what Mario is, believe it or not. I know people like to claim Mario is safe, but not really. Even like back
It's safe, but they still like to do weird stuff with it.
Yeah, like you look at, outside of Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan, every like Mario platformer has a very distinct identity to it.
Mhm.
And we mean more than one unique power-up whose effect isn't even that unique.
Right.
Looking at you, flying squirrel suit. Looking at you again, penguin suit.
Yeah. And that is another thing that distinguishes DS from the others, because it had its own distinctions from what came before. It's just what came after kind of diluted its brand.
Mm-hmm.
And
again, the original one did have some very questionable design choices, like having to use the mini mushroom to unlock like a third of the worlds in the game.
Right. No, we haven't forgotten Mac. Like, but just we kept getting, the new games in quick succession, especially for a Mario series, if you will.
Before the new series, we were getting Mario games, once every 3-4 years?
Something like that, or like once a generation. The Game Boy Advance is a weird generation, because that's just, let's bring over all the old games to the new platform.
Yeah. Some of them did do like bonus levels for the game, but it was mostly just the old games.
Uh-huh. And I guess there was deluxe for New Super Mario Brothers U, and that still did a tidy sum and gave us the existential nightmare that is Peachette. You think I'm joking, but
I was there, bro.
no, I'm addressing that to any would-be doubters. Like,
we lived that hell. I don't want to go back.
Well, I mean, this is how we got Bowsette.
Yeah.
Anyway, to cognize this thought, just having the third and fourth new games, a mere 3 years after the last one, and them coming in the same calendar year.
Yeah.
That's the big one that gets me. Like, why? Why did you, like, especially since on the 3DS side of things, you just had Mario Kart 7, and more to the point, New Super Mario Land.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm sure that they did fine, but clearly they didn't do the blockbuster numbers that DS and Wii did.
Indeed.
Some of it is, yes, the 3DS and especially the Wii U weren't the breakout sensations the DS and the Wii were.
I mean, the 3DS did end up sorting itself out later in life, but yeah. Pour
but
one
it's
out
also,
for the Wii U.
It's also, look, these games didn't bring anything new to the table. Outside of Gold. Or you can do platform blocks with the Wii U gamepad. Like, solid hands is what I would call the later new games, but not much more than that. And for Mario games, that is shockingly mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm sure we could go on with stray thoughts in terms of the new games, but I think we're at a good stopping point.
Right.
So that will about do it for the inaugural episode of season 19 of Fragments of Silicon. So coming up on the week ahead, let's see. We do have the season premiere of Moonhawk Studios Presents happening in about 20 minutes from this time. And, everything seems to be set up for that. Mac did just post reminding everyone that that's happening. So that's odds on that we will be indeed starting. We won't have to worry about him, being absent for one reason or another, which is always a concern. Anyway, no Friday show this week. That will be debuting next week in regards to current plans. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we will be having impressions of Space Station Tycoon, Ventureverse, Legend of Eulora, Compass of the Destiny, Istanbul, and Through Blocks. Kind of a banner week for long titles. But until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.